character Alan Partridge. Welcome, please, its creator, Steve Coogan. Welcome.
Thank you.
Bring us up to date on Mr. Partridge.
Well, he's no longer living in a travel tavern. He's now living in a static home. Not a caravan.
No.
A static home.
There's
a difference.
Yes.
Next to his house, which is being built.
And his job now?
His job, he's still working on the radio. He's got a slightly better slot, so things are going okay.
Yes.
He has a girlfriend. He has a Ukrainian girlfriend. And he didn't meet her on the internet.
He's branched out. He's on digital TV now, of course.
He's got a digital TV military-based quiz show called Skirmish, which no one's ever seen. And in fact, we don't even see it in the series. You know. He has to tell people how to find it. You know.
And he's also, of course, branched out into video now, hasn't he?
He does what they call cheap sell-through videos. Mainly lots of car crashes linked together by Alan. The one out at the moment is called Crash Bang Wallop What a Video.
Is it a reputable firm of video makers?
They also do very sort of dodgy videos like the Boob Olympics and other sort of wet T-shirt competitions, that kind of thing.
Good.
It's a very reputable company.
Yes. Well, I wanted to set that up because, in fact, the clip we've got from the new series, which starts on Monday, this coming Monday, is of Alan actually meeting his producer at the country club and having words with her. And this is an example of what he thinks is funny and reasonable. Let's have a look.
Hi!
Oh, Alan!
Hi. Just stay down. Sorry I'm late. Had to have a shower. Got a bit clammy. Yeah.
How have you been, Alan?
Roddy bloody good, actually.
Yes, his panic attacks have all but stopped.
Thanks, Len.
Mum, I want my Game Boy.
Hello, excuse me. What's his name?
It's Todd.
What, Todd? Seriously? Hello, Todd. Very snazzy jeans you got on there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Correct me if I'm wrong, there is a zero tolerance policy on denim in the bar.
Yes.
I think there's a chap over there wearing jeans. Just a chap of about 6.
Right.
They're lovely at that age, aren't they? They get you on the old jeans rule. Nazis. But with excellent facilities. As had the Nazis.
He's interesting, Alan, because in that character, I mean, you challenge the kind of limits, the parameters of humour, don't you? I mean, there was one I remember where, I mean, he hit a man in a wheelchair.
He did hit a man in a wheelchair, and that sounds very reprehensible. In fact, it is reprehensible. I would never, ever recommend hitting people in wheelchairs. I think it's a very bad thing. But we just thought, we sometimes think, what's the worst possible thing you could do? How can we put it in a comedy and get away with it and make it funny? Because it's Alan doing it, then it's all right. So because you're laughing at Alan, you're not laughing at the person in the wheelchair. But it's always nice to sort of do things that people feel a bit uncomfortable about. A lot of people actually sort of watch the programme, they go, I sometimes meet husbands and wives and they say that, they say, oh, my husband loves it, but I can't stand it, it's awful, I can't watch it.
Yes.
You know, and that's a lot of people feel that, they feel it's very uncomfortable to watch. But I think good comedy is like that.
That's a compliment, you think?
I think so, yeah. I mean,
but he didn't start off like that. I mean, now he's fully fledged. Now he's developed into a character with a kind of a soul and all that sort of thing. Well, how did he start off?
He was a sports commentator. Yeah. I knew nothing about sport, and I still know very little. So I just make things. I just make things up. Like if I was watching, they'd give me some footage of a football match, and I wouldn't know who was playing or who they were, and I'd just start talking rubbish. Actually, saying things like, "There goes the man with the ball there, passing it to the other man, the one with the curly hair, and he's kicked it in the net, and that's a goal." And you just talk. It's verbal diarrhea, but you know there are a lot of broadcasters present company accepted, who do talk a lot of verbal diarrhea, but they say it with such confidence that they kind of get away with it. You know, I think that the attitude is keep talking, doesn't matter what you're saying.
Yeah. But talking about present company accepted, I mean, how did he become a talk show host? And dare I ask this question, who was he modelled on?
Well...
Now, you tell the truth.
Well,
if you tell the truth, you've got 1 minute left. If you don't tell the truth, you've got 10.
Well, the thing is, he was sort of an amalgam of lots of people. But funnily enough, since I started doing him, it's more after the event, watching broadcasters, that I start to think, God, you know, he's just like he's worse than Alan Partridge. I mean, oh.
Go on. Go on.
Well, you know, there's a little bit of Richard Magley in, I think.
Is there?
I think a little.
Which bit of Richard Magley?
The bits where Richard Magley sort of puts his foot in it, which is most of him, I think.
Like this autobiography, what is it about? That kind of question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But what about, you see, what's interesting about you is that the voices have played such an important part in you. I mean, you are an actor, basically. That was your ambition. That's what you wanted to be. But your facility with voices led you into, well, in fact, gave you your career because your equity card you gained by actually doing voices, didn't you?
Well, I went to drama school and I did all that thing of pretending to be a tree and pretending to be a fried breakfast and wearing tights and dancing around, and that was all very useful stuff. But when I was there, in those days, to become an actor, you had to get an equity card. And one of the few ways of doing it was doing cabaret. And so I did, and I could do impressions. So I just started doing stand-up comedy around pubs and clubs. And that was the way I got my card. And I was able to do, I had a facility for doing voices. I'd do people like Ronnie Corbett I'd do him like that, you know. But I'd do him, I'd put him in Vietnam, you know. I'd do him as a kind of the Terminator in Vietnam, going, you know, there I was, you know, surrounded by gooks, out from the bushes. I blew him away, which isn't very nice. I just used to do all these kind of voices, and so that was, I started getting voiceover work, you know, doing those adverts, doing those things like, get down to Top Man today, horrible acrylic sweaters only $3.99, horrible polyester trousers only $14.99, it's all gonna go, so hurry, hurry, hurry. I do stuff like that. But I didn't really like doing it. It was just a way of sort of paying the rent, really, until I sort of established myself. But you'd end up doing the worst kind of voiceover to do was because I'm a northerner, what was quite odd was being asked to do what they call RP taglines. That's where you do like the end line of an advert. So you say things like, now there's even more for your money at Asda. And things like that. So yeah, I do stuff like that. But the worst thing was when some advertising copywriters had written what they thought was a funny sketch. And afterwards, you'd have to do the tagline, and they'd say, could you put a laugh in the voice? Just when you say the end line. So you go, now there's even more for your money. Not having found it remotely funny at all.
What was it? Do you have any some embarrassing ones to do at all, voiceovers?
Oh, I was the original Mr. Muscle kitchen cleaner.
Were you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can see how impressed everyone is. Yeah, I was Mr. Muscle kitchen cleaner, loves the jobs you hate. And ever since then, I feel that my original Mr. Muscle kitchen cleaner has been ripped off by various actors after me, but I'm not bitter.
You mentioned there that you had this facility for voices. That was what, presumably from childhood, was it?
I remember when I was at home, asleep in the bedroom with my brothers. I came from a big family, so I had 4 brothers, and most of us would sleep in this big bedroom on these bunk beds, and I would wake up in the middle of the night and wake my brother up and say, Kevin, what? Does this sound like Norris McWhirter? It's like 4 a.m. What? Yeah, just like him. Go away.
Because yours was a generation informed by television, of course, weren't you? I mean, television was the formative influence.
I think that's very important to me, because I grew up with television. I used to, before video, I would record Monty Python and 40 Towers with a cassette recorder with a microphone pointed at the TV. Because there was no, and I'd just have an audio recording of a TV show, and I'd play it back to friends. And during the visual bits, I'd sort of have to explain the visual bits. So I'd listen to it and go, he's going through a door now. He's sitting on a chair. Okay, and then, you know, that. So I was very much into all that, and Monty Python and all the records, I'd listen to them or memorise sketches.
What about the other inspirations that you got? I mean, Paul Calf, for instance. I mean, he was somebody that you met as a student, wasn't he?
He was the kind of person who, as a student, I'd find very threatening. See, because I was a student, I was kind of...
You were a drama student.
I was a drama student, but I did these summer jobs where you did casual labouring, and I worked in this chemical plant with these lads, and they all thought I was a bit soft. Because at lunchtime they'd all be reading The Sun and playing cards, and I'd be reading The Guardian and doing the crossword, right? And they'd look across at me and go, "What are you reading that for, eh? You great puff." Reading The Guardian, and I'd laugh at some article by Hugo Young, right? And I'd go, and they go, "What's so funny?" It's just something in the article. Right? Well, read it out. No, I don't think you'd find it funny. It's just some observation about the Conservative Party policy. Is that funny? And I swear there was one guy there who was actually, he works on this stacker truck, he was called Mick, and he walked around with a fag in the corner of his mouth all day, like looking like death, like he wouldn't never look him straight in the eye. And I was loading up this big barrel of linseed oil. Don't ask me why, but that was what I was asked to. And this lad next to me said, "There's Mick coming along," said, "when he comes past, just to get in with the other lads, his gran's been knitting him a sweater for ages." He said, just when he comes past, say, "Has your gran finished knitting you that sweater?" And I went, "Oh, OK, I'll be one of the lads then." And I went, "Hey, Mick, has your gran finished knitting that sweater?" And he stopped the stacker truck and went, "You bastard." She lost her arms in a milling machine. He told me to say it. And he said, I'm going to have you at the end of work today." So the rest of the day I was sweating like this. And as I was going to sort of collect my cards, and at the end of the day, he ran up to me like that. He ran straight up to me and he went, "We had you there, didn't we?"
Did you ever get thumped?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I
Did
did
you?
get thumped. Yeah, I got thumped. Yes, I did. Usually outside the chip shop. Isn't that normally where people get thumped? Yeah, I did get thumped. I normally kind of... The way when I was with lads like that, the way I'd avoid getting hit was I could do impressions, and the one they knew was Sylvester Stallone. Oh. So they go, "Oh, do your Rocky," and I go, "I'm gonna bust your ass now." "You're all right."
And what about Alan Partridge now? I mean, I suppose in a sense you're stuck with him, aren't you? I mean, I mean that in the nicest sense, that he's part of the landscape now. He's your most famous creation, and part of the catalogue of comedy characters. Is that a kind of imposition on you? I mean, are you going to struggle, do you think, to maintain him?
Well, it's funnily enough, it's strange because when I was a child, all I wanted to do was one of my chief ambition was to be able to make a sitcom or create a comic character like Basil Fawlty or like Blackadder or something. That was what I wanted to do, and I sort of more or less achieved that now. And so it is an albatross, but it's a very nice albatross to have.
Yes.
And I was saying to Armando Iannucci and Peter Bainham, who write the series with me, I said to them, I've come to terms with the fact now that whenever I die, if I die next year, if I die in 30 years, in my obituary there'll probably be a picture of Alan Partridge. And Pete Bainham said, "Yeah, but in our obituaries there'll be a picture of Alan Partridge too."
But you branched out in the sense you've got your own production company now, and you just finished doing a new comedy drama, haven't you?
Yeah.
And your movie too, the last movie you did about the club scene in
24-hour Party People.
But I mean that's gone down big in America.
It's gone down very well in America because they don't know who I am there, so they go, the thing you were saying about Alan Partridge, of course, whatever I do gets compared with Alan Partridge. So if it doesn't quite match up to it, people say, "Oh, it's not as good as Partridge." Well, over there they don't know who he is, so they went, "Oh, there's quite a funny bloke in this new film. He seems quite talented," so that's quite refreshing that the film was judged entirely on its merits, and so it's opened a few doors for me.
Good, but you're obviously going to go through.
Well, yeah. The thing is, what they have there's a kind of a ladder in America. There's a kind of what they call a casting list, and I'm on the bottom rung of that. So I get sent lots of scripts and saying, "Are you interested in playing this part?" And I go, "Oh yes, I'd love to." And they go, "Oh, sorry, someone else is doing it." "Sorry, Ben Stiller's doing it." So there's all these people. So I've got to wait for all these people to say no before it gets to me. So I'm just waiting.
And shortly we shall be joined on the set by Mr. Jeremy Paxman. And of course, what I didn't mention about your career was that at one point you did Spitting Image, didn't you? And I'm right, I think, in saying that you did the very first voice of Mr. Paxman.
I did. I remember that because what they do when they have a new puppet, they have a new puppet of Mr. Paxman in his slightly curlier hair days, and they sort of brought the puppet and they said, "Okay, who can do a Paxman?" So I went up and did my version of him. And what I did, I don't know if it's my imagination, but I coined this thing where when he'd respond to every politician's comment by going, "Yes." He'd sort of speak like this. It's all very well. A lot of people sort of think that's very interesting. What exactly is it? You know, he just sort of points those words out like that. But I said, every time I sort of started, ears. And after a while in the script, they started spelling it ears. E-A-R-S. Ears.
Well, we shall test out that invitation when he comes on in just a moment. But for the moment, Steve Coogan, thank you very much indeed. Steve Coogan. Music now.